Okay, hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Victor, and I'll be your anchor for this Q&A series for the Google Digital Leader certification. Okay, so for those of us that are trying to take the certification exam, so I'm going to be going through about 30 questions, and the way I have organized this Q&A series is so that you also know for each question, you know why an answer is wrong and why the answer is right. For those of us that are taking the remote training session we held throughout last week, you already have this question that you used in doing your quiz. So I'll just go ahead to indicate which of the answers are correct and which of them are wrong. And if you're preparing for your exam, so this is a good bet for you to know how to make the best choice for your questions. Okay, let's start with the first one. What is Google Cloud Global Infrastructure built on? And when we talk about the Google Cloud Global Infrastructure, we're trying to say across the world. So you have the Americas, you have Africa, you have Europe, you have Asia, you have Australia. You have your world map, right? Don't mind my diagrams. So you have Australia, you have Singapore, you have India, right? So across this map, so the question is, this global infrastructure, we're talking about global infrastructure. So what is it built upon? So the first one, is it local data centers? So this is going to be wrong. We're trying to talk about global infrastructure. So there are some keywords that you need to take note of when you're trying to choose your answer. So we're talking about global infrastructure. This global infrastructure is made up of local data centers, interconnected, right? You have data centers across different sections of the world, but they are actually interconnected. So that's why it's called global infrastructure. So it's not just local environment. If it was local environment, then we're talking about on-premise, then this is going to be a correct answer. Since we're talking about global infrastructure, this is going to be a wrong answer. The second one is talking about a distributed private network. So this is correct because we're trying to talk about private local data centers, then that are what? Distributed, they are interconnected. Then the next one is distributed fiber optics cable. So fiber optics cable is just a way to connect, right? No, in networking, we say a network is made up of end devices, connecting media, and also intermediary devices. So if I want to set up a network, I need something like an end device like a PC, like a phone, like a printer, like a whatever. Then I need a connecting media. So I can be using fiber optics, I can be using infrared, I can be using Bluetooth, I can be using Ethernet cable. The intermediary devices are going to be like my routers, my switches, and all of that. So fiber optics is just a way to connect, right? So it doesn't make up your network. So that's the wrong answer. Then D, you have distributed public data centers, right? So now this answer would have been correct, right? Right? But you see, you have options like you having the word global, you're also having private, which is the individual data centers. Then they are highly reliable, they have high performance, and of course they use fiber optics. So that's why B is the correct answer. So number 2 question is, which Google Cloud product is designed for building and deploying learning models? Now, this particular answer, BigQuery, is basically for analytics, right? So we use BigQuery for analytics. So we put in data into it, we create a pipeline, we ingest data, we have quite a lot of transformation, then we store it, then we analyze it, then we have some kind of dashboards, we have some kind of analysis. So that's what BigQuery is used for, right? Then AI platform, so that's where you have quite a lot of AI platform like Vertex, That's why you have Vision API. That's where you have Map API. That's where you have language API, things like text to speech, speech to text, translation. All of those API is built on top of Google's API platform. So BigQuery is for analytics, cloud storage is for storage, then cloud functions is for you to like run some kind of code to perform some kind of activities for you. So let's say you want to say, okay, if my data storage is filled up, if I have 10 terabytes and my data storage is filled up, send an email to me. So this particular stuff, respond by sending an SMS, respond by sending an email, respond by creating a dashboard for me and the rest. So that's what you use cloud functions to do, just to run codes that are in response to some kind of events. The events can be something happening to your system and not necessarily for machine learning. So the correct answer here is Google what? AI platform. So why I'm doing this response to the Q&A section is so that you can also have a better understanding of all of Google's or most of the Google Cloud platforms or services. Number 3 is what service allows you to host scalable web application on Google Cloud? So we're trying to talk about hosting scalable web application. So one is to host, right? The second thing is what? Web application. So the first one is wrong because this is just going to help you manage relational database. This is wrong because in Google Cloud, what we do is that if we have a virtual machine, so a VM is just the synonym for virtual machine, right? So for instance, you want to have a Windows box, you want to have a Linux box, you want to have an Ubuntu box, you want to have any kind of box, right? Any PC you want to have online so that you can install softwares on it or do whatever. So that's where you use the compute engine. So if you go to your dashboard, right, you just click, you see all the services. You pick on this. For those of us that want to do the solutions architect or data engineering or security, we're going to be doing quite a lot of hands-on on that. So if you've not subscribed to the channel, so do well to do that. And if you have questions on this Q&A series, you can also drop them in the comment section. So this is wrong. So this is not for web application. So this is correct. So because the app engine is what? Is the fully managed platform. Anytime you see something like fully managed, you're trying to say that Google controls it. Google helps you and you have some form of abstraction. It's going to make it quite a lot easier for you to like deploy your stuff. Of course, I've talked about cloud function. So the correct answer here is what? App engine. So the next one is number 4. So what's the question here? So the question is, which Google Cloud service provides object storage, right, for structured and unstructured, right? So this is wrong because Bigtable is a NoSQL database for structured data. So for exam preparation, you want to differentiate between Bigtable, right, cloud storage, right, Spanner, Firestore, and all of that. You want to be able to differentiate all of them. So here you have Bigtable, which is wrong. Cloud SQL is wrong. So this is even a database service. It's not cloud storage. Cloud storage is a form of storage. So that would be my best bet because it's scalable, it's highly available, and it can handle both structured and unstructured data. Then of course, Spanner is going to be the best answer if we're trying to talk about storing globally distributed database, relational database kind of items. So anytime you see any question that tells you, I want to store data and that data should be globally available, distributed, it should be always available, it should be scalable, then your best answer should be Spanner. So number 5, the question is, what's the benefits, right? What benefit do we have for using Kubernetes? So Kubernetes is for you to actually set up a container system, right? So you can also look out container system versus virtual machines versus, let's say, you having your local systems. So we moved from local systems to virtual machines, and now we now deploy stores in our container system. So this is a better way to deploy your apps. So the question is, what's the benefit of Google Kubernetes engine? So the first one is virtual machine scaling. No, so this is quite different. Then manage container orchestration. So container system, that's what Google Kubernetes is meant for. Then high-speed networking, no. So this is just something on networking, right? This is not actually deploying applications or servers. Then you have serverless computing, no. So when you talk about cloud function, and when you talk about some managed services, that's where serverless computing comes in. So in serverless computing, it's not that there is no server. It's just that you don't take care of the servers. Ordinarily, if you are using Google virtual machines, right? You log into your system, you click on the dashboard, I want virtual machines. You say, okay, I want 1 gigahertz of processor, I need 8 gig RAM, I need a Linux bus, right? I want social options, you just create, right? Within a second, you can create a virtual machine. So that's a good virtual machine. You need to take care of all of this stuff, indicate what and what you need. But in serverless computing, what's happening that you don't need to bother all of this. You just say, okay, I want to deploy, let's say, a PHP application or a Python application. I want to do something as simple as, let's say let's say a Django app, or I want to do something like a WordPress system. You just install that, and that takes care of everything. All of the RAM, the processor, the hard disks you need is taken care of. So that's what you call serverless computing. So Kubernetes is for what? Container orchestration. So that's the correct answer. So the next one is, which of the following allows for high performance, low latency relational database? So the correct answer is Cloud Spanner. Remember, I said just a while ago that anytime you see the word high performance, low latency, we talked about bandwidth, we talked about latency. So bandwidth has to do with how much data can move from points within a point. You can have a tunnel. Let's say you have a tunnel like this, or a pipeborne water. So you have water flowing through and coming out from this place, right? So the bigger the bandwidth, the area, the diameter, the more data can flow through. Or you have an expressway, you have 1 car, 2 car. If it's larger, you can have more cars flow through. So the higher the bandwidth, the higher the speed. Then in terms of latency, we're trying to talk about point A, point B. How fast can items move from point A to point B? For bandwidth, we measure bandwidth in MB per second, or we can say, let's say gigabits per second. For latency, we measure in milliseconds, right? So the less the time from point A to B, the better, the faster. If I can move from point A to B in just 10 seconds, I have a very low latency. So the lower the latency, the higher the performance. If you have internet speed and you have low latency, the better for you. So for this particular answer, your best answer is what? Cloud Spanner, because that's one service that we can use to deploy relational database that are very high perform, they have very high performance. So for Firestore, so this is just a NoSQL way to store data. Then for Cloud Data Store, of course, this is still NoSQL. For Bigtable, so this is for us to store database that are NoSQL. So we have 1, 2, 3. These 3 guys: Firestore, Cloud Store, Cloud Data Store, and Bigtable. They are actually for NoSQL, right? So in NoSQL, we don't need to query data, right? So they don't use a structured query language. Number 7, what does Google Cloud IAM? So when it comes to IAM, for identity and access management, we're trying to say, who can create, who can read data, who can update data, who can delete data, right? If I have an Excel sheet or a database, who can create one, right? Who can read? Who can view this guy? Who can update? Who can add more columns to it? Who can delete, right? Who can delete data from this particular stuff? Who can update? So that's what we call CRUD operations. So the way you can tell who can do this, who can access, who can give access to, and all of that in the cloud, whether you're using AWS, whether you're using Azure, or whether you're using IBM, whether you're using GCP, Google Cloud Platform, the best guide to do that is IAM. So let's look at the options. It helps us create virtual machines. No. Compute Engine does that. Manage billing. No. Billing management does that. Access fine-grained access permission. So you want to give permission to maybe this particular column or the entire file, use that using IAM. So IAM lets you manage who has access to Google Cloud resources and what they can do with those resources. Deploy container, no. Kubernetes does that for you. So the best answer here is what? Is assign fine-grained access permission. So the next one is, which of the following is a serverless compute service, right? So the correct answer is what? Cloud functions, like I said. For serverless computing, it doesn't mean that you don't manage the infrastructure. It just means that you just take care of what you're trying to work on. The Google platform or the particular service takes care of all of the underlying system for you, right? So that's what you call cloud. Cloud functions does that. So Compute Engine is not serverless. You have to manage the virtual machines. App Engine is managed, right? But it's not lightweight as a serverless function. But cloud functions, like I've explained earlier on, is serverless, right? Kubernetes is a container system. So what type of resources does Google Cloud Compute Engine provide? So Compute Engine, right? So virtual machines, like I said. So it's not object storage. So in Compute Engines, that's where you can set up VM. Like you want to set up a, let's say, a Windows machine, a Linux machine, an Ubuntu machine, any type of operating system you want to set up, any virtual machine you want to set up in the cloud, you can use Google Compute Engine. So the correct answer is what? To set up what? Virtual machines. We can use it to create, manage, edit, create images, set up systems based on images of what? Virtual machines in the cloud. So it's not load balancing. Load balancing is a separate service altogether. And for load balancing, we're just trying to say that if I have, let me explain load balancing for just a moment. If I have, let's say, let me draw an architecture where you have lots of traffic coming into my system. You know, if I have just one VM, if it's just one virtual machine, what's going to happen is that if we have, let's say, 10 terabytes of traffic comes in, or let's say 1 million website visitors, they come in. If this guy can't contain it, this guy is going to crash. So in load balancing, we're trying to say, okay, let us set up 1, 2, 3. And let's say 3 is our minimum, and let's say 5 is our minimum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 is our minimum. So for a start, we start up with what? We start up with 3. So once this traffic is coming, there's going to be a load balancer here that's going to say, if HTTP traffic comes in, send them here. If TCP traffic comes, send them here. Let's say if HTTPS traffic sends them here. If, let's say, whatever kind of traffic, send them whatever. So it distributes it. That's why it's called a load balancer. This load that is coming here, it distributes it. It's just like when you have a bag of rice sitting on a chair, right? If you just have one leg, if the chair has just one leg, it is not balanced enough. But if you have another leg here, another leg here, it will distribute this weight that is coming, this load. That's how it is. So if this guy is coming, so in scalability, creating scalable cloud systems, you can configure your system in such a way that you say, okay, 3 minimum. If this exceeds, you can add more virtual machines, right? So that's what a load balancer does, right? So that is not compute engine. So it's virtual machine that takes care of, it's compute engine that takes care of virtual machines. Okay, number 10, which Google Cloud Service provides a NoSQL database for large-scale, low-latency workloads? So the correct answer here is Bigtable. So it's not FastStore. FastStore, anytime you see questions that have to do with mobile or web application, right? They're optimized for that. You're doing creating apps. So FastStore is the big guy to go to. Anytime you're going to do analytics, it's BigQuery that's the guy. Anytime you're going to do relational databases, Cloud SQL can do that for you. But anytime you need to do large scale, big data, right? So Bigtable is going to be the best guy. Now, number 11, let's look at virtual private cloud. So why do you call it virtual? So because it's a network in the cloud, right? So it's not like your regular cloud system that you have here on your premise. So you deploy that in the cloud. So which of these allows you to do virtual private cloud? So is it automatic database backup? No. Is it connecting your on-premise data centers? Correct. Is it data encryption? No, right? So this is a separate feature. Of course, yes, in the cloud, data encryption is always done at rest, but it doesn't have anything to do with VPC, right? Then hosting containers is Kubernetes, GC, and the rest. Nothing doesn't have anything to do with virtual private cloud. So the correct answer here is what? It helps you to connect connecting to on-premise data center. So that's what VPC can do for you. So the 12th question is, which of the following enables scalable data analytics within Google Data Cloud, right? So the correct answer here is BigQuery. Don't forget, we said this is for database, this is for cloud functions, this is for things like mobile or web application. The correct bet here is going to be BigQuery, because with BigQuery, it's Google Data Warehouse Solution that is designed for scalable data analytics. So if you're following so far and you're interested in getting certified, you can make a comment in the sections and the comment section, or you could contact us and get training, get all the materials, and get certified. What service does Google Cloud provide for secure identity management and user authentication? So the correct answer is IAM, not VPN, right? Not a web proxy, not content delivery network, not CDN. The correct answer is what? Cloud IAM. So this is a very simple bonus question. Which Google Cloud service helps optimize compute and storage costs, right? So if I need to actually lower my costs, Cloud Function, this will not necessarily lower your cost, right? Because this is going to work based on what you have in terms of your function. Yes, monitoring can help, but it will just let you know. It's not going to like prevent anything. It's just going to monitor what's happening, right? If I have 10 times the traffic that is expected, I can set up a cloud function that is going to notify me based on the event. So it's not going to stop anything. It's not going to do any optimization. But the compute engine preemptible VM, it's actually Google's low-cost, short-term VM that's actually designed to save cost. So it's not Cloud SQL. Cloud SQL is for database systems. So Cloud Run service offers. What are the offerings of Google Cloud Run services? So the correct answer is what? Serverless container deployment. So anytime you need to deploy containers in the cloud on Google system, the answer is what? Cloud Run, right? So GKE is Google's own fully managed Kubernetes service. This is for databases. This is for storage. So here we're talking about, let's say we have, for this particular question, we're talking about real-time event processing. We have an IoT device. Let's say it's a temperature sensor. We kept this in our farm. It's picking temperature at 9 a.m., 12 noon, 3 p.m., 6 p.m., like that, 9 p.m., just every 3 hours, right? And it needs to send that to somewhere. So this is going to be this guy, this application is going to subscribe to these IoT devices. Then it's also going to be publishing to maybe something that is going to create a dashboard for us. So because this is real-time data, things like live score, football live score, things like Forex data, things like weather forecast or weather items or weather data points, things like my humidity, temperature, rainfall, all of that. I think in one of the days in our training, I expanded on most of this kind of real-time data, what you can classify as real-time data. Now, this is going to be subscribing to this. This is going to be publishing to this, right? This guy here. So you classify this as real-time data. And the guy that can do that for us is actually the PubSub Google service. So it's for real-time, event-driven messaging between applications. So this can be an application where it's going to be coming in. This is going to be a dashboard application. This guy is going to be subscribing to this. It's going to be publishing to this. It's just like when you subscribe to a mail, you have an application on the website. What happens is that you subscribe to a newsletter. What the website's email system, let's say MailChimp, MailerLite, GetResponse. There are so many companies that does constant contact. All these guys, their mailing system. AWS have it as a simple email service, AWS SES. Now, if you subscribe, they are going to be publishing to you. And this is real time. Anytime somebody posts something on the server, this guy will just get it in his mail, right? You can even automate all your messages that you're going to send. If you want it every 1 hour, provided you subscribe, you're going to be published to. Or let's say you subscribe to your local newspaper, right? They are going to be publishing stuff to your phones or to your email. So that's the correct answer. The answer is not data flow. It's not cloud functions. It's not cloud spanner. Okay, so the next one is, what's the primary use case for Google Cloud? CDN. So anytime you hear the word CDN, is saying that we want to have globally distributed systems that can help us deliver content to people or have content closer to people. If I have, let's say I have, this is Europe, sorry, this is America, this is South America, this is Africa, right? This is Europe, this is Asia, this is Australia. This is the world map, right? Hope my drawing is very nice. So if you have a data center, here in London, anybody here within North Africa is going to get this data faster because latency is closer, it's less. Anybody here in Canada is going to take a longer time to access this data. Latency will be high, right? So in CDNs, we talk about cloud distribution network, right? So all we just need to do is to have data centers in different places and also cache our data in several places. So it's closer to people. So that's what you have in a CDN. So the correct answer is delivering content from global network. So Cloud CDN is designed to deliver web media content to users globally with low latency by caching content at Google Edge location. So edge locations are just those data centers and points that are closer to the individuals. They're not necessarily large-scale data centers, but just like a mini system or a mini data center to like take care of, to make sure that data is closer to people. So this is not the correct answer. This is not the correct answer. This is not the correct answer. Okay, so number 18, which of the following is a key feature of Google Cloud BigQuery? So BigQuery is for what? Analysis, nothing more, nothing else. And petabytes, like large scale big data, right? It's not for SQL stuff. It's not for container orchestration. It's not for real-time processing. It pops up that does that. So you just need to be able to understand the different Google Cloud offerings and what they do. You can also just research and say, okay, what are the top 30 common Google Cloud services and what are their functions and what do they do? So that will help you better understand the services. Then if you're taking the Cloud Solutions Associate certification, yes, we're going to go hands-on and start using some of these services. Or if you're going to do data engineering, or if you're going to do security, you're going to actually use these services. But if you want to pass your Google Digital Leader Certification exam, you just need to know the services and what their functions are. Which Google Cloud service is designed for running relational database? So the correct answer is Cloud SQL. So it's not Firestore. Firestore is a no SQL. Bigtable is no SQL, right? Spanner is for globally scalable relational database system, right? So, but Google own cloud service system is what? Cloud SQL. So for machine learning pipelines, if we want to build machine learning pipelines, and we want to build and deploy them, should we use cloud functions? No, this is just going to be serverless system. Should we use AI platform? Correct, we can do that. Data flow, wrong. BigQuery, wrong. This for analytics. So the correct answer is going to be AI platform. So I've already explained AI platform in detail. So which of the following is true about Google Cloud pricing model, right? So these are some of the basic things we learned in the remote sessions. So we said for the pricing system, it's pay as you go. You don't need to pay ahead like regular hosting systems. You just pay for 1 terabyte, even though you're not going to need 1 terabyte. You can pay for traffic. You can pay for hard disks. You can pay for space. You can pay for virtual machines, even though you're not going to need up to that in anticipation of what you're going to need. But in Google Cloud and every other cloud service provider, you actually pay for just what you use. So it requires long-term contracts. No, you can just pay for 1 day, 1 month, and the rest. You can terminate at any time. So this is wrong. So pay-as-you-go model, correct. You are bid a flat rate, no. So there's no free tier. There's actually free tier. All the cloud service providers, they provide free tier. So you can actually test their service. You can test their virtual machines. You can test their email service. You can test their notification system. You can test their AI systems. You can actually test them. What's the key advantage of using Google Cloud managed services like Cloud SQL? So you don't need to manage underlying infrastructure. That's the thing about a managed service. It's just like, let me do a simple explanation to differentiate between when you say managed service and unmanaged service. So you can also do a research and say, okay, I need 10 Google managed service and I need 10 unmanaged service, right? The thing about managed service is that Google takes care of it. You don't need to do any configurations in terms of your operating system, your RAM, your hard disks, right? You don't need to do all of those configurations. You just need to do what you need to do when you're off. Take, for instance, you want to install a PHP server, right? You just set up the server. All the underlying stuff is taken care of for you. If you want to install WordPress and host an application, you want to install a Django app, right? You want to install something like PHP BB, any script, any application, any CMS, anything you want to deploy, just deploy that and it takes care of that for you. That's different from when you need to first set up a virtual machine, set up a PC in the cloud. That's what you call a virtual machine. You set it up first, then you start installing your applications on it, like you do when you have a new system. So for a managed service, you don't take care of the online infrastructure. The infrastructure here, we mean the networking, the system, All of those things, the storage, you don't take care of them. It's taken care of for you. But for unmanaged service, you have to set up your virtual machine, set up your networking, set up all of those things, right? So that's different between a managed service and an unmanaged service. So the correct answer here is what? Google manages the underlying infrastructure. So what service would you use to move large data sets into Google Cloud? So the correct answer is cloud storage transfer. So it's not compute engine because compute engine is virtual machines. It's not cloud CDN because this is just a content delivery network. It's not BigQuery because BigQuery is for analytics. So the correct answer is cloud storage transfer. Which of these services can be used to store and analyze time series data? So the correct answer is what? Bigtable. This is for relational database. This is for web and mobile app systems. This is for you to create serverless computing, that you create functions that's meant to respond to certain things that happen in the cloud. But the correct answer here is what? Is Bigtable. Which of the following is a key benefit of Google Cloud auto-scaling feature? So I talked about auto-scaling. So you can have some kind of vertical or horizontal. Those are the two types of auto-scaling you can have. So what's auto-scaling? So I need just one server, one virtual machine. Let's say this is a 1 terabyte hard disk and a 3 gigahertz processor and a, let's say, 512 SSD hard disk, right? This is just one virtual machine. Question is that if I need more and I add, right, more of this is what? This is horizontal scaling. What happens if I say, no, I don't want it to be 1 terabyte again. I want it to be 2 terabytes. I want it to be 2 terabytes. I want it to be, let's say, not 512. I want it to be, let's say 1 terabyte. I also want it to not be 3 gigahertz. I want it to be 5 gigahertz. So you see, you are increasing what? Vertically. So these are the two ways you can actually scale. So what are the key benefits of Google Cloud's auto-scaling feature? So let's look at the answers. Automatic scaling of VM based on load, right? Based on the inflow. So this is correct. High availability without scalability, no. You can have both of them. Reducing costs during peak time, not necessarily. This is actually going to help you manage costs, right? So it can help you reduce during off-peak, not during peak periods. Peak periods, you're going to have increase in cost. You have fixed resource usage. No, that's wrong. So the correct answer is what? It's going to auto-scale horizontally or vertically based on the load that you have. The number 26. So what's the primary function of Google Identity Aware Proxy? So Aware Proxy help us protection. So the correct thing is to help us control access to web application based on identity. So we want to know who should have access to what, especially based on the identity of the particular person. So it's going to enforce that kind of control for us. So it's a kind of logical control. Then you have interconnect. So interconnect is help us connect physical, right, to on-premise, or rather our on-premise to our cloud system. So it's not direct peering. This is wrong. Physical system to our cloud system. That's what the Google Cloud Interconnect system does for us. Real-time monitoring, no. Cloud monitoring does that for us. VPN, no. Cloud VPN does that for us. So the different services, you want to be able to understand them. So the key features of preemptible machines, we talked about this. They will help us actually lower cost. Right? That's what they do for us. They don't actually guarantee uptimes, no. They don't give us persistent workloads, not necessarily high storage capacity. They just help us do what? Lower costs, as long as the user is okay. right? 29. Which of these services is best suited for monitoring health and performance? Health, we're talking about storage, processor, network, all of that. So that's the kind of health we're trying to check. So cloud monitoring is a service that is designed to monitor all of those resources and applications, right? It's not IAM. IAM is for identity and access management. Cloud function is a serverless system. Then cloud SQL is for database system. Then the last one is cloud VPN. What does it do? The correct answer is what? Secure connection between on-premise and Google Cloud through VPN tunnels, right? So you want to know for your exams, you want to know at least 20, 30 common Google Cloud services, and that will be fine for you to pass your exam. All the best. I'm going to be doing a part 2. Maybe we can go through another 20 or 30 questions. I'll see you. Thank you, and have a nice day ahead.